So today we're going over some G major scales. And watch the lesson for free, but if you want to pick up the ebook, this is a major scale book for beginners to intermediates. And before you watch this video, make sure you've watched the video on how to practice scales and tips on practicing scales and ways to practice scales. That's all in one video. And that'll go over all the combinations of fingering that you should use and other helpful tips. Today we're really just going to be going through them and just talking about them a little bit. But there's a link for that book under the video, but like I said, watch for free and pick up some tips as we go. So we're going to be going through an open position scale and then a couple of closed ones and then an open string shift. So the first scale is open position. Now, open position is when you have open strings involved and usually in the first position. So that's not movable. It's kind of like the key signature in the lowest part of the guitar. So first thing, we'll just go through it. Now, it's always important when you have two octaves to understand one octave to the next. So we want to go through the notes from one G to the next G. G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G. So there's one octave. So you practice that. And then from that G, you go to the next one. It's really helpful if you say the note names out loud when you do it so that you actually gain a recognition of the key signature. It's very easy on guitar just to memorize fingerings, but recognizing the key signature and saying the notes out loud will really help you to gain a musical knowledge. Even if you're not into classical guitar, like saying the note names out loud it'll teach you what you're doing on the guitar, right? It'll teach you fingerboard knowledge, right? Okay, so that's the first position scale. And let's go on to the two octave closed scale. So remember, closed scales are movable. So if you have a pattern like this, you can move it anywhere and it becomes a new scale. So that was G major, G sharp major, A major. Same fingering each time, but a different key. So we'll be doing this two octave G major scale closed on the 6th string. Very common scale fingering, of course. So the first octave and the second octave. So practice the octaves separately just to make sure you have an awareness of one octave scales within the larger patterns. That'll really, you learn one scale, a 2-octave scale, but you understand the different octaves. It's like learning twice as much information and twice as much knowledge, but only one scale. Okay, closed on the 5th string. So we've done this scale before. This one's a little bit in upper position, so beginners can skip this one if they want. So again, the first octave. Very important that you know exactly what notes. It's so often, especially in upper positions, students don't know what notes they're playing. So you just say them out loud. G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G. And then from that upper G, G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G. It's so easy. Just say them out loud and you get to know your notes really well. So practice that scale. It has a little shift in there. So keep your first finger down when you shift. Up on the way down. You can keep your first finger down as well if you like, just for some security. Now, the G major 3-octave scale closed on the 6th string. So this is the first time we've had a 3-octave scale. And again, beginners should maybe skip this one. It's a little bit high in the register, but intermediates can definitely do it. Of course, practice the individual octaves. So, and then from that one, and then from this one, and then back down. If you've gone over the last section in the book, which covers major scale patterns over the entire guitar, you can kind of figure out what pattern you're in at what time as we're traversing across. Depends on what level you're at. Some students may wish to learn all of the scale patterns over the entire fretboard. That's in the back of the book with the diagrams. Or they might wish to just do these individual scales for a while and get comfortable with them before a larger endeavor like that. Depends. In the end, you do both for a long time, you get to know them really well. Okay, and then the last scale is an open string shift scale. So these are very appropriate for repertoire. So often in repertoire we are playing down here, and then during an open string we shift into an upper position. So that's what's happening here. So this one is shifting into this area here. So we start in an open position. Open E. And F sharp with our first finger. So let's do that again. This is so often how we traverse the guitar during repertoire. C, G, A, B, C, D, open E, which gives us time to shift because the open E is ringing out. F sharp, G, G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G. It's a great way to shift because that open string rings out, so you can be legato while your hand moves. It's especially useful when you have a large shift in mind. So we rarely practice those in our scale practice, and they're rarely in scale books, these open string shifts, but they're incredibly important because they're one of the most used scales in the end.